Hi, friends. Today we're talking about asking questions in the present tense. Let's go ahead and take a look. All right, let me just swap my display here. Here we go. Asking questions in the present tense. So, how do you ask questions? That's a pretty good question, isn't it? Well, the best way to ask questions is to stop and think about whether you are using the simple present or the present progressive when you are asking. That is probably the biggest decision that you need to make in order to ask a question correctly. If you are using the simple present because you are asking a question about a fact or a habit, you will need do or does. If you are talking about an event that is happening right now, then you are using the present progressive. And instead of do or does, you need am, are, or is. If you need some more help with distinguishing the simple present from the present progressive, I have another video that you can watch on simple present and present progressive to review. So go ahead and check that out. No matter which tense you're using, simple present or present progressive, there's one simple structure for you to know and just a little tiny change if you're using the progressive. Take a look. If you are using the simple present, you need do or does first. Then you need your subject. And then you add on your verb. And those are the first three words of your question. If you are asking a question using the present progressive because it's happening now, you need am, are, or is, then your subject, then your verb. And here's the little tweak. Oh, did you catch that? It flipped right off, didn't it? Here's a little tweak. You need to add ing to the end of your verb. That's very important. Let's start with the simple present, all right? That's the easiest one. When we are asking questions in the simple present, we need to know whether we need do or does. So here's a really quick review. If you already know it, you can speed up through this part, right? So take a look at this chart. Make sure you notice that he, she, and it require the word does. All the other pronouns use do. All right. So let's turn this sentence into a question. We leave soon. There's our statement of fact, right? That's a general truth. We leave soon. But we want to turn that into a question. How do we do that? Well, remember that we need do or does, and then the subject, and then our verb. How do we determine if we need do or does? We need to do our subject first. So let's start in the middle, believe it or not. We're going to start in the middle. Take a look at our sentence. Which word is our subject? Right, we. Okay. And if you remember the chart, we, does it take do or does? It takes do, correct. So we put that first, do, and then we use we. And now we look back up at our sentence. What's our verb? Leave, exactly. And when we write our sentence, we simply do, we, leave, and then we put the rest of our idea at the end. Soon. Do we leave soon? All right, easy. Let's check out another one. Okay, the statement is you work here, but we want to ask a question about it instead of a statement. So let's take a look at our subject first. What's our subject? You, correct. And you takes do or does? Do, very good. You do. Okay, so we want to swap that. Now we start with do, and then you, and then we put our verb. What's the verb in our sentence? Work, correct. Do you work? And then we just finish our sentence with the remainder. We put the rest of our sentence at the end. Do you work here? All right, this is getting easy, right? Simple present questions. Let's try another one. It gets quiet at night. It gets quiet at night. Let's ask a question about that. Take a look at our subject first. What's our subject? It. Correct. Okay. It. Does that take do or does? Right. It takes does, not do. So we need does, it, and now we need our verb. What's our verb in the sentence? Yeah, our verb in the sentence as a statement is gets because it would take the verb plus an S. But do you notice here you just do the simple present tense of the verb? You don't add an S on the end. The S gets dropped. The S actually kind of pops off the verb and gets put up front here with do. We can't have S's everywhere. We only need one. So we're going to put it up front with does, and we're going to take it off of our verb here. Does it get? And then we just put the rest of the sentence at the end. Does it get quiet at night? Does it get quiet at night? And let's try one more. Sandra lives in Reading. So we have Sandra, right? Now, Sandra, is that do or does? Well, Sandra is a female, right? And a female would take the pronoun she. Good. And she goes with what? Do or does? She does. So we need does, Sandra, and we put in our verb, live. And remember, we take that S off, right? Because the verb in the sentence lives, we need that because Sandra is a she. We need that S here, but it kind of pops off the end of this verb and goes up front here. We only need the simple present tense of the verb, no S. Does Sandra live? We put on the rest of the sentence in Reading. All right. So how do you ask questions? Let's go back to the original chart here. Let's move to present progressive. How do you ask questions in present progressive? Remember that instead of using do or does, now we need to switch over to am, are, or is, our to be verbs, right? And we're going to tack on this ing at the end of the verb. So just as a reminder, we have our chart here for to be. You know this one? Good. I am, you are, he, she, it is, we are, you are, and they are. Perfect. Okay, now take a look at some present progressive questions. I have a statement now. I've changed it from simple present tense to present progressive tense. Instead of we leave soon, I changed it to present progressive. We are leaving soon. Okay, now how are we going to ask a question about that instead? Well, let's take a look at our subject first. Always subject first. What's our subject? We. Now, does we take am, are, or is? Are, correct. Are we. Now, here we need to use our verb plus ing. And if you take a look, of course, it's already in the ing form, right? We are leaving. So we just use that right as is, okay? And the question is, are we leaving soon? Very good. All right. Now, present progressive question statement is, you are working here. Remember, we did this with present tense, and that was just you work here. But this is in progressive. You are working here. Okay, from simple present to present progressive. And so you take our subject, and that's you. Does you go with am, are, or is? It goes with are. And then we simply take our verb, make sure it has the ing ending. Are you working? Tack on the rest of the sentence here. Are you working here? Fantastic. All right. This is getting easier, right? I know it. It is getting quiet at night. Okay, so we need to take our subject. What's our subject? It. And we need to take our verb. Does it go with am, are, is? It goes with is. And then we have getting. Is it getting quiet at night? That's our question. And then finally, we have our sentence, Sandra lives in Reading. But let's change this again to present progressive. So now I didn't give you that hint up here. How are you going to change it? Okay, Sandra is our subject. Am, are, is, she, right? Sandra is a she, so she is. Very good. Then we take live. That's our verb. Our base verb is live. And then we add the ing, live, ing. And if you're wondering why it doesn't have the E on the end, that's in my other video on present tense, simple present, and present progressive. And so you'll want to watch that to make sure you understand how to spell correctly. That's important. Is Sandra living in Reading? All right, very good. So let's play a little game here. Do, does, is, or are. Can you figure out how to start each sentence? Why don't you go ahead and pause the video and take a look and write down your answers. See if you can get a 100%. Okay, how did you do? How did you do? Well, hopefully you noticed that the verbs kept changing. The rest of the sentence is completely the same except for the verbs. And you should have seen something that tipped you off as to what was going on in the sentence. The ing ending, right? Every time you see the ing ending, you're like, oh, wait a second. That is present progressive, right? So we need the is or the are or the am, okay? And so we have our pronoun they, and they goes with are. We have our pronoun she, and she goes with is. And of course, Raphael is a he goes with is. And the top sentences were all in simple present. And we just needed to match up whether they goes with do or does. And so they do, she does, Raphael does. All right. I hope you are ready to ask some really great questions. I know you can do it and you can get them all correct. Go forward and be confident.